Ukraine, the heart of Europe, the breadbasket of the world, fertile soils, talented and hard-working people, a productive land that warmly receives love and care and rewards Ukrainians with its gifts. Ukrainian women have been dealing with issues of sustainable development since ancient times. Women farmers not only take care of the land, but also strive for the development of communities in which they live and work. Women's farming flourished and contributed to the prosperity of rural areas before the war.
I was born in Kherson. I moved to Donetsk and settled down in 2004. Family, house, day-to-day life. I am an artist and a designer by profession. I did projects and lived an ordinary life until my children were born. The first child was born with problems and shortly after diagnosed with autism. Of course, I had to spend plenty of time with my child, so there was simply not enough time for work. I started out poultry farming, began to raise broilers for myself at first, to feed my child with good quality meat. People became interested. Sell it to me too. Many of my clients were allergic. I got my own clients, restaurants and resellers. Oh, another egg has been laid. I had to give up everything and come here in 2014.
Little one, how about giving birth, my dear? Well then.
Where was there to escape? A place where you once lived, where everything is familiar. Eventually, we returned to Kherson.
I hadn't heard anything about Muzikivka. We stumbled upon it accidentally. When we arrived in this village, we were amazed at how clean and wealthy it was. I said to my husband, "Let's get a goat. I want some milk." He replied, "Go fly a kite with your goats." "No! Our barn isn't ready. We just moved here. We're dealing with these chickens. What for? Why do you need a goat?" A few moments later, a young man calls me and asks, "What are you exchanging it for?" I say, "What do you have?" "I have goats." I say, "Wow, but only for goatlands, not goats." "Okay." He goes back in an hour. I'm coming. He brings 3 goats and belly goat. Turns out you can build a barn in an hour. This is the oldest goat that was given to me. I didn't want to slaughter her, but she is doing well with us. The name was given by my husband. We thought for a long time about the name. He suggested Amalthea. Amalthea is from ancient Greek mythology. It was the goat that nourished Zeus, and its horn became the horn of Gladys. You've seen our logo. There is a goat called Amalthea depicted there. The story behind it is that I was chasing this goat with a camera. I took some pictures of her. There were some good shots, and then I edited them on the computer by myself.
Sonka, Athena, Aphrodite, Knopka, Ellie, Judith, oh God, Laska, Dana, and this is Veronica. Isn't it enough for now? You drank a double.
The first reaction was, it is a disaster, because you don't know what to do with them. These 3-month-old goatlings are small, they scream, they are in panic, they are constantly eating something. Not what you give them, but what they found.
Nobody's bothering you, don't be afraid. Here comes Ivachka.
I have an assistant. It is my daughter. We now have 6 milk goats left. She milks 3 and I milk 3. My son can only brush the goat or take her for a walk, but he doesn't understand how to feed or milk, and I have a husband who is of great help too.
When you have 1 or 2 goats, you get nervous, angry, you blame everything on them. And when you have more than 10, you realize that it is you who does something wrong. So the animal is being stubborn. They are like children, only with hooves and horns. Well, sometimes without horns. Every time you get angry or upset, you go to your goats, sit down and hang out with them. They come to you. They love to play. They calm you down in a second.
Just a second, some strangers are coming. They get a little bit intimidated by strangers. Don't bleed. We have 23 goats, including goatlings and adult goats, and 5 billy goats.
Oh, you're being greedy. Even the jar didn't fill up. Well, usually we have 1.5 of a jar in the morning and 2 in the evening. I'll have to milk more later.
The easiest thing is brinza. It is tasty, everyone loves it. Once one of my clients asked me, how about cheese? Can you make cheese? Of course not. All spoiled milk and cheese were drunk and eaten by pigs during the first year. And then things get better. I learned how to make it. I can make halloumi, but it's not interesting for me. I prefer more complex cheeses like Montasio, Gouda, Tilsiter. I can make young cheeses. Now, brinza, halloumi, mozzarella, labneh. I consider cacciata as a young cheese also. Cacciata can be made with different flavor additives. I chose the most popular ones for myself with fenugreek, lavender, and you'll laugh, but with fried hemp seeds, it tastes very good too.
Come on, Barashka!
When you let them out, they eat and then begins running and playing.
Tatiana is the winner of the TalentA 2020 educational grant program, which is established by the international agricultural company Corteva Agriscience to give a chance for women farmers from rural areas to develop in their sphere. Talented Ukrainian women have always strived for development for the sake of a better life for their families and communities. Agriculture is exactly the industry in which our heroines have reached their full potential.
I was born in Ore village, 40 kilometers away from here. I am a mother of 3 who has been widowed twice. I never liked working for someone else. I always wanted to work for myself. Well, it took me a long time to get there. I grew berries, raspberries, blackberries, wild strawberries, and sold them at the market while having another job too. When my house burned down, I worked constantly in order to distract myself from my misery, to support my children somehow, to get them on their feet. Goats gave me moral support. They understood me. I talked to them. Secondly, my children and I have no place to live. I realized that this could bring me income. I could enjoy the process and earn money for a house and ensure my children's better future. We are partners with Katerina. We have one goal: to build a farm, to build houses for ourselves. She doesn't have her own home either, and to achieve something in this life, to leave something behind us.
I am from Donbass, from Alchevsk city, where I was born. Don't run, Nona. Don't be silly, Nastya. Go have something to eat, girls. Go! I am an electrical engineer. I used to work at a machine building plant in Dnipro-Rudny, the Parisian region. Then I became a marketing specialist. taught a little at the business high school, was in the positions of the head of the department, deputy director, director of an enterprise. Farming is the third major change in my life.
Go girls!
Katerina's grandmother gave me my first goat at the same time when a stray dog and a kitten showed up at my door. She said I needed to feed them something and gave me an old goat named Milka. At first, Katerina and her eldest son Vadim would come over to teach me how to milk her, held her while I was trying to do it properly. It was very difficult, but now I get a great sense of satisfaction when I milk my goats. When we moved to this mountainous region, we noticed, such a superficial attitude towards women from men, especially towards widows. The villagers hadn't taken care of this farm for 10 years at least. It was empty, abandoned. Although it was private property, it looked like a landfill full of snakes. We collected more than 60 garbage bags. Now we are trying to teach the villagers not to throw garbage wherever they want. I became fond of farming from the very beginning. I am very ambitious now. I really want to fulfill my dream to build a tourist farm, to invite and encourage my friends and like-minded people. I want to build my little house in their Carpathians because I don't have a roof over my head now. There is no rest for a farmer. A goat requires constant care. She wants to eat, be milked every morning and every evening. She gets sick, she can get hurt. When 16 goatlings are born in one day, you need to take care of them too. It's very difficult. Your hands get tired, but when you milk a goat, you rest mentally.
1 kilogram of cheese is obtained from 10 liters of milk.
And if you are making hard varieties of cheese, you can get up to 300 grams of ricotta. Our cheese line includes neutral, soft cheese, as well as rich flavor. That's why we have different reactions from tourists. Someone likes not salty, not spicy, and odorless type of cheese. And someone prefers spicier varieties. There were several times when people tasting our cheese said, "Ooh, I have never tasted anything more terrible in my life, and I will never do it again."
My name is Erika Shabuchko. I am 50 years old and I have been involved in gardening for 15 years. I came to this business as a professional manager. I joined a company that was already involved in agribusiness as a finance specialist. I have a degree in mathematics and my partner has a degree in radio electronics. So we both have a technical mindset and therefore logic and evidence are the main factors that influence the decision-making process. Each of us is self-sufficient, talented, experienced, and knows how to work efficiently. But when we work as a team, it gives us great strength in any business. Partnership is based primarily on trust and confidence in the person who works with you in the team. When the flowering begins and when apples start ripening or when you harvest, this process gives you great satisfaction. You want to share this feeling with everyone. We have exported to Europe, England, and Sweden in past years, and we may focus more on Asia this year. About 80% of the yield needs to be exported. Quality is a key component to ensure that our apples are attractive to consumers in other countries, starting from the selection of seedlings to ensure they are healthy and have all the characteristics necessary to be planted in such a garden. We take care of the garden during the vegetation season. This involves using crop protection products that allow us to fight pests and diseases, as well as mineral fertilizers that we must use to make the plants feel more comfortable. We regulate the yield, of course, as this affects the size and fruitfulness of the garden. It was considered innovative to plant advanced European varieties such as Pink Lady, Brabant, and Fuji, which thrive in our climate and produce excellent yields 10 years ago. As we were told at an exhibition in Berlin, your apples taste as good as in the south of France. The chemical industry is developing, and pesticides are becoming increasingly attractive for use in gardens without harming the final product. European science is more concerned with ensuring that plant protection is very safe for consumers. This is a Brabant apple tree. It is a winter apple, still ripening and gaining color. These apples are saturated with all the minerals necessary for their growth. It has the typical elongation of this variety. It has the color characteristic of this variety today. It will still ripen and the color will intensify to burgundy. And it has very good storage life. England is the homeland of this apple. It has a light anise flavor. At first, we demonstrated our own results, our own achievements, how do we do it, and then the farmers themselves began to ask us how to do it so that they could also be successful. So it was not difficult to involve farmers into our cooperative. I have only heard about collective farms, but a cooperative is a joint business. All members of the cooperative, their families, people who join us, feel like a community, almost like a family. Farmers grew cucumbers, for example, in greenhouses, and the cooperative collected these cucumbers and delivered it to a processing enterprise. This allowed the formation of large batches of these vegetables, which were processed at fruit canning enterprises. But unfortunately, the enterprise closed, and the question arose of retraining in the fruit section, since every family farm has orchards.
My name is Maria Masaychuk, and I am 40 years old. When Komsomolsk city was being built, we moved to Ukraine. I finished school here, entered university, studied in Odessa, and started working in trade. After the first global crisis, the company closed down and we created our own, successfully engaged in distribution for 15 years. But a few years ago, I thought that one should not put all the eggs in one basket and decided, especially since I really like agriculture, our nature, our region, to try something else. So, I'm a beekeeper now. We came to visit a godfather of our child, who is also a neighbor and lives in this village. He said, "I got into beekeeping. It's such a thing. You don't need to do anything. The bees bring honey themselves. So cool." The next few days, we were collecting honey. Everything was great. I like this process a lot. So they don't fly out of the hive at all during the winter. They maintain a constant temperature of 36 degrees in the hive by flipping their wings. They never sleep. The bee works hard during honey collection in the summer. An average bee lives between 24 to 30 days, while a winter bee lives until spring, usually until April, that is approximately 7 months. A bee gathers nectar at a speed of approximately 50 kilometers per hour and flies back at around 18-20 kilometers because of the weight it carries. A bee collects about a quarter of a teaspoon of honey throughout its life. One hive, one family gives, let's say, approximately 50-80 kilograms of honey in a season. Of course, the amount of honey depends on whether you practice nomadic beekeeping or not. Nomadic beekeeping is when you transport your apiary to melliferous flowers. Farmers and beekeepers provide pollination services. This can even be the main type of activity for beekeepers in foreign countries. We are only beginning to develop in this direction. The productivity increases from 30 to 50% thanks to beekeepers, and with the harvest of apples, the yield increases almost up to 80%, plus the size of the fruit increases. Many beekeepers collect honey in the field. But we should strive for International Food Safety Standards, HACCP. I also underwent training on how to do this as a craft producer, and of course I tried to do it in my own workshop, which means we adhere to standards. We use paper towels, we have a tiled floor, and we have surfaces that are easy to clean. Perhaps it was meant for me to live in this village and work at the plant for all my life. I worked for 8 more years after retirement, and then I gave up winemaking for good. Overall, we had 12,000 hectares of land in our village at that time. This included 1,600 hectares of vineyards and 837 hectares of orchards. We processed all of it. Up to 3,000 tons of grapes are produced at the Collective Farm Winery. We built a powerful canning plant that processed 5 million conditional jars. Everyone had jobs. Gradually, everything started to fall apart. The villagers formed a group and decided to take ownership of the building where we are now. They created Kainaki Communal Enterprise. The water supply system was completely improved. There were no more water breakthrough.
There are problems with drinking water in Artsis, Tarutin, and Bolrad districts. There are no deep lakes of drinking water. Usually people use riverbeds and wells. When water was being tested, many impurities, especially lime, which harms the health of residents, were found. Your body suffers from it, kidney stones appear, etc.
We are now at the highest point not only in Kubey village, but also in the Budjak steppe. It turns out that our grandparents built a system for pumping water from underground sources. The intake is powerful, 400 cubic meters, and the water flows by gravity throughout Kubey.
There is almost no normal drinking water in Bessarabia in our entire district in the south. Water hardness exceeds the norm by almost 100 times. Therefore, we often suffer from urolithiasis, hypertension. Thank God there was one proactive person who finally solved this problem. This will help citizens to cleanse their kidneys, and infants will be fed with formula prepared on clean water.
We opened and registered Resource Company Kubey Agricultural Service Cooperative in 2018. Our team is predominantly female, with only 2 young male workers, 82 veterans. We have taken responsibility for our kindergarten, Kaska, and our polyclinic as a cooperative. We will provide them with a certain amount of water as scheduled, free of charge, according to our agreement. Our cooperative is new, so we're still working out some details. We are learning from our mistakes because cooperatives are not well developed in Ukraine, especially in our region.
The more cooperatives we have, the better our community will develop.
The idea appeared at the beginning of 2019, and those were our first courses in cheese making. We had decided that we could sell our product online at the beginning of 2020. It was very hard for people to buy cheese or dairy products as the markets were closed. It was a very pressing issue. We quickly thought this through, placed an advertisement, and saw many comments, around 300 comments overnight. Everyone wanted to buy cheese, sour cream, milk. This was milked in the morning. We realized that we should move in this direction. Thank you, see you tomorrow. We started with a small pot, you could say, with 20 liters. And we have increased production to 450 liters a day in the past year and a half. We realized that we need to do more than just selling cheese. That's why we came up with the idea of two little rams who seem to be making the butts and tossing the cheese up. That's our logo. It was Carpathian cheese at first, which was made in the Carpathian region, a traditional cheese.
Our workday starts at 6 in the morning. We wake up, have coffee and breakfast. I check the car and load up the barrels, and then I go to get the milk. I'm at the first location at 7:30. Milk, bye. See you tomorrow. We get about 450–480 liters of milk on average.
The social aspect is that we provide locals with income that was not there before, and we supply our region with natural dairy products.
It's already a bit of transitional season now, so there's less, about 1/3. There will be half of the milk in winter, that is about 200, I think. My route takes about 2 or 2.5 hours. I usually arrive home around 10 a.m. Unload the milk and strain it. Then we pour it into the pasteurizer, where it undergoes a pasteurization process. We cool it down to a certain temperature after that. Then we bring the milk to a certain temperature depending on the cheese kind. We add the leaven next. We have the ferment.
Our thing is that the cheese is actually made in the Carpathians, very high up in the mountains, which has a great influence on its content. The milk is much more enriched with various good substances, and there are almost no factories that harm the environment in our region. And it's very tasty, and it's handmade. That's also the main feature. And another thing is that we mature it in natural rain, that is without latex. And thanks to these bacteria which grow in the cheese, whether we add them specially or not, They give the cheese its taste, and for example, this cheese from one batch that we will sell today, tomorrow will be completely different from another batch. The coolest thing is to watch the cheese mature. When you just made a normal-looking cheese, it's soft, ordinary, it tastes differently after 3 months, and if you taste it after 7 months, it will be completely different cheese. A lot of milk was simply used irrationally. Here, in our village, in the neighboring village, we have no milk collection points, and we've never had them. Every family has a cow whose milk is used for their own needs. It's 2 or 3 liters a day, literally, and the rest is fed to pigs.
It seems very easy to go around the village and collect milk, but it's actually very difficult here because of the mountains terrain and the condition of the roads. It's incredibly difficult here in winter because snowdrifts block the road to our home. For example, one winter we were completely snowed in. It was impossible to drive through on ZIL 131 track, and we had to clear the road for 2 days. We couldn't drive anything except a small car. Previously, we had Niva car. We had to drive around the village to collect milk, drive to the place where it had snowed in, load the milk onto truck, and then bring it home to unload it at the cheese factory.
We plan to build a large, spacious cheese factory that will be a part of a tourist route. This will attract tourists. Accordingly, if tourists visit us, they will perhaps make a road for us and look at our village in a different way.
There's a lot of work to do, such as cleaning the barrels, preparing forms for cheese, and preparing spices for cheese, depending on its type.
We deliver natural and healthy food to preserve the health of future generations, as our cheese and yogurt are given to infants under 1 year old, and health-conscious people who try to eat quality food are bring up a healthy nation, and we help them to do that.
Social responsibility is transforming into the concept of sustainable development today, which is the basis of strategic management not only for governments, but also for commercial companies.
Speaking about our company Corteva, we have strategic goals related to sustainable agricultural development by 2030. One part of this long-term project is the sustainability of local communities, agricultural communities, farming communities. Undoubtedly, women play a central role in these communities. We may not notice it, or may underestimate it to some extent, but their role is key.
Corteva Agriscience have conducted a global research to assess the status of women in agriculture in 2018. Over 4,000 women from 17 countries participated in the research, which revealed that gender inequality persists in the industry. To overcome the obstacles hindering the development of female potential in agriculture, Corteva Agriscience established the International Education and Grant Program TalentA, which has helped over 500 women gain in-depth knowledge in business development and has provided grants to women farmers for implementing social projects aimed at supporting food security in their communities.
The program, which started in 2 countries, Spain and Ukraine, was noticed by the company leadership. It's now actively expanding in Europe and overseas. It has even been launched in Argentina this year. Therefore, we already have several countries in the world that are implementing the TalentA program.
The innovative online learning format enables participants from different regions of Ukraine to attend the sessions and invite many lecturers, mentors, and experts whose knowledge and experience are valuable and interesting to program participants.
These experts are from the agricultural industry, business communities, and educational institutions.
The integrated educational course includes basic knowledge in soft skills development, business practices, marketing, access to financing, innovative agro-technologies, legal literacy, and sustainable development. TalentA provides a real opportunity to implement business ideas through grants provided by Corteva Agriscience to the authors of the best projects, as determined by the program's expert council.
Women make up almost 43% of the total agricultural workforce worldwide and play a crucial role. It has been determined that if production on women-run farms increased by at least 10 to 15%, we could feed an additional 100 to 150 million people.
The company fully supports gender equality in the industry and believes that the development of female farming will help to increase the country's economic potential and promote the development of rural areas.
Do you remember our goats? Shall we pay them a visit? Yes? Oh, good girl! The idea of creating a petting farm came to my mind a long time ago. While talking to teachers in our school, they told me, your children are more developed. And then, when we talked to the mothers of these children, they said, your children already understand what can be grown, then sold later, and how to make profit out of it, and our children have nowhere to go. We don't know what to do next. The idea started to grow since then. Wow, she ate it! The goblin ate it! We have never seen so many friendly goats before. It's very interesting for children. I don't even know who is more interested, the goats or the children. To help these mothers socialize their children, even just by teaching them how to make brinza. They can buy milk from an old woman, come home, make brinza, and sell it. It will be more expensive in that way. I was afraid to voice this idea. Perhaps I was afraid to be misunderstood. I finally voiced this idea at Corteva, and when I saw how they supported me, I realized that we need to talk about it. The first tour is the most impressive. It is the most memorable. Once I saw a boy sitting on a bench who suddenly threw a tantrum. His mother rushed over, took him away. I asked her what happened. She said, he's afraid of animals. What do you mean? The animals are far away. A kitten just walked by. We started looking for an approach. We intentionally brought him into the barn where there were no adult goats, only goldlings. At first, the boy said, no. We barely convinced him to come in. He stood aside. They won't hurt you. Come closer. Then everyone else went in, including the boy's mother also. They fed goldlings. Everything went great. I saw the boy got interested. His panic went away. He was still a little bit scared, but curious. He wanted to pet them. After some time, everyone came out, and we barely convinced the child to come out as well. He really liked it. Such moments bring tears to your eyes. Active citizens solve their own and social problems because children come here with certain peculiarities or simply to interact with animals.
My brother has autism, and this petting farm helps him socialize. It's like a hobby. There are emotions, and it has had a positive impact on his health.
Our dream is to promote Ukrainian culture.
As soon as the project reaches a certain level, people start noticing you're not only on Facebook or Instagram. When they say to each other, oh, if your child is sick, try to go in there. Perhaps the government will be interested in funding such projects at some point.
Come to me, goat. Oh, you want to stay on the loose a little bit longer, don't you? They do not have faith in the women much. At least, that's what I encountered when I started. My mother and I didn't talk for about 6 months. First of all, she didn't believe in me. Why are you getting into this? In the final stages, by the way, even my husband stopped believing in me. He helped me at first, and then he said, it's all nonsense. But everyone was astonished at how I succeeded in it. So many people know me now. Wherever I go, they say, oh, Tanya, she'll get her way. It's better not to mess with her. Just give her what she asks for.
So, my darlings, have you played enough? Shall we go to sleep now?
There were always doubts. What if this idea will be considered foolish? Something like that. But TalentA really gave me the strength and support, so I realized that I was going in the right direction. The most valuable thing I gained from the program is believing in myself, not giving up and moving forward. Not to be afraid of speaking your mind, no matter how foolish it may sound at first. It has to be done. That's it.
We had certain ideas when we started, but as the time went by, those ideas began to evolve into something even greater. We began to communicate with the locals and conduct surveys. Our education inspired us to find a common ground with the local community and focus on working with them. This has brought us incredible results. 6 or 7 families, both local and neighboring, have approached us after TalentA and throughout this year. We either starting to cooperate with them or advising them on where to begin, which direction to take, and how to choose an interesting area for further development. We provide services for researching possible diseases which might occur in the orchard for members of the cooperative. We have a program that we use for this, developed by Dutch specialists. We observe the weather data online to see how the weather conditions will develop and how they will affect the orchard, including the possibility of disease. Members of the cooperative use equipment that belongs to the cooperative, including modern Italian sprayers, which give a significant advantage in looking after orchards, as well as tractors and other machinery. Farms which are slightly larger than small family farms with 1, 2, or 3 hectares of orchards are very satisfied with our services. The project was developed during training at a hub organized by Corteva for women in agriculture. The project described a smart approach. It is the practice we use that can be spread among small family farms as well as individual gardens. Knowledge about exporting products became the most applied. We were explained various approaches to studying this issue, information about exporting products to different countries, and sources of finding the necessary information on this issue. We searched for this information on the internet for a long time and couldn't find it. Socially responsible business is a business that takes into account the needs of all. For example, many elderly people work in sorting. They are not in demand in other productions or industries. This job is not too difficult for them, it is affordable, and they earn money and bring this money to their families. For harvesting, we involve the students of Mukato boarding school for girls. These are girls aged 16-28 who are happy to participate in the harvesting process. They pick apples, then use them in making jam or dry for the needs of their boarding school. In this way, they socialize and learn something new. A woman's role in agriculture is essential for manufacturing a product that will end up on the supermarket shelves or in the markets.
Thanks to the TalentA program, we have an automatic honey dispenser now that helps us not to distribute honey manually, but with the help of a hose pouring it automatically into jars, which makes the beekeeper's manual labor easier. 500 half-liter jars per hour. I won a grant from Corteva and received not only $4,000, but also a lot of work. This workshop used to be a chicken coop. We repaired it, tiled it, and installed equipment there. Everything took a little longer and it didn't work out quite as I thought in terms of finances, so I had to invest much more than I initially planned. Then I bought a plot of land here. This year I planted 20 acres of lavender fields, and I want to develop rural tourism. I already had visitors this year. Everyone liked it, and not a single bee stung anyone. Although we were in the hive, children could carefully touch bees. Thank you to the organizers of the TalentA program for providing rural women with the same opportunities as those who live in the city. When I was studying at TalentA, we exchanged experiences with other beekeepers from other regions. They have a great solution. Store extra honey in a cooperative. They even hired a person who manages these issues. We donated honey, all beekeepers together, to a nursing home. I am also a mentor in several programs. I had a mentee girl from Lviv region who was responsible for a grand project. She planted a field of flowers near a nursing home so that these people could take care of the flowers and then sell them, and the money went to improve their lives. I would like to have a green tourism location in 5 years. People can sleep above beehives. This kind of therapy helps your body relax and heal so that in the end, the person comes out healthy and rested. I want these beehive houses, lavender fields, and festivals. I hope to make it real. By the way, Pure Honey label was specially made for the World Honey Exhibition. We participated in London Honey Award, and our honey won a silver medal. Thank you very much to Corteva for providing me with the equipment, but even more for motivating me to do this. I had been surrounded by office walls for 15 years, but I have my own office now. This is my office. I have Wi-Fi, a laptop, and a phone here. It's a world of communication, and I can see the forest and river through the window, which inspires me greatly. I feel empowered in this place. When I found out about a company that allows people to participate and acquire the necessary education to defend your thesis, I was very interested. Corteva Company and TalentA program was our starting point. I didn't believe in all of this at first, but then, when we saw a good result, we were encouraged and began to unite, gradually creating what we have today. When we entered this building, we had almost nothing. Today, our residents can use water of high quality, which is beneficial for their health. Our installation is called EcoSoft 6500. Its productivity is up to 600 tons per day. We're planning to purify up to 6 tons of water.
Dear villagers and guests, there is a big event in our village today. We now have living water. Hooray! That was the main problem in our village. Everyone knows that water is life. Thanks to this delicate, small, beautiful woman, thanks to her titanic work, we have clean water in the village today.
The community needs to learn its place, its geographic location, its resources, what it can do, and what it can interest other communities and residents of Ukraine with. That is attraction. If we take our region, for example, we had a more developed agricultural direction, wine production. We must create a brand of the community itself, which includes all the components that are grown, created in our community, and engage in PR management of the community and the same product.
We have a very rich land. It is rich in history, culture, and ethnography. And I want people to have the opportunity not only to pass by Kubey and neighboring villages, but also to learn more about us. Come here. When the person comes, they should be able to relax and have the opportunity to stay here for a few days, for example, and get pleasant impressions, to learn something new, to watch something, to eat tasty meal.
Our problem was that we didn't have a place for storing a large amount of cheese where it could mature. A huge cellar had to be built. We have been reinvesting everything we earned since we started. We keep buying and buying. I found out about the TalentA program by chance, read that it was for women farmers, and thought that maybe they would accept me into this program. I filled out the application and thought how cool it would be to win. It would speed up our entire development process. The mentors helped us a lot. In creating the project proposal, I found a great connection with them. They were very helpful. I had never been involved in anything like this before, and the fact that I won was a serious shock for me. Not even that I won, but the fact that I made it to the short list. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I see us expanding our business in the next 3-5 years. We have a large cheese factory where we produce 2 to 3 tons a day. Therefore, by processing such a quantity of milk, we can at least provide Ivano-Frankivsk region with our products. We are getting certified, and we can work with large networks, and more people will know about us. Next is the attraction of tourists and the development of tourism. We're also thinking of building some cottages for tourists and developing a tourist route that would start from our cheese factory, from where you could climb the mountain, stay overnight there, and visit back our cheese factory the next day to buy some good cheese and come back home.
Coming back home is the dream of millions of Ukrainians who were forced to leave their homes due to the full-scale war unleashed by Russia on Ukrainian territory. The war has changed the course of history for many Ukrainian farmers, including some of our heroes, due to temporary occupation or the necessity to change the direction of their business development. But each of these women is an example of strength, dedication, and unconditional love for Ukrainian land. At Corteva Agriscience, we strongly condemn Russia's war against Ukraine and stand with Ukrainians in their fight for independence and freedom. In solidarity with the people of Ukraine, we support humanitarian and charitable initiatives aimed at assisting affected communities and forcibly displaced persons, and we continue our TalentA program for our women farmers to restore and strengthen their businesses and revive rural areas for the sake of victory. Our top priorities remain respect for the highest value of human life, the safety of our employees, and food security. Corteva Agriscience has made a decision to exit the Russian market and encourage Ukrainian farmers, both men and women, to choose those who choose them, choose those who value life above all. Glory to Ukraine, glory to heroes,